Oh my gosh. Hold on, guys. You know how this goes. I have to hit the auto-find and activate for the millionth time. We'll see if it auto-finds or activates. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm a bit flummoxed. What else is new? Ah, there we go. Let's see. The double fakie. What? Did it not fake out? Did it not start? Why are there double... Oh, I know why. Because past Brian is a clever, sneaky snake who tried to make trouble for himself. Hello, beautiful people. Let's see how many of the 5 nations are showing up here. Allegedly, we're streaming out to Scam Nation, Modern Rogue, LinkedIn, Night Attack, and Ashwood on X. Although Ashwood on X sounds like a very special after-hours Burning Man experience. Let's take a look over at x.com/live and see whether or not Tentacles is showing up. Let's see. No. So that means I got to hit refresh over here as well, because otherwise ain't nobody gonna be able to find Tentacles to the Tentening. No, still not there. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Dan Homesteader, good to see you, man. Congratulations on 20 years. That means you're for reals married. That means you're not a tourist. That means you're made of the stuff. Hang on. I'm about to give up on the land of X. Unless... So we do have our friends over at Twitch. The double fakie live start. Did I do a double fakie? There we go. Astro Guy 8210. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. I'm just going to do a whole bunch of that and then say, are you oh, wait. Oh, now it shows up. Of course. That's why. That's how these things go. Hello, beautiful people. I'm Brian Brushwood. This is Office Hours. If you ain't never been in university, every so often your professor would do whatever the hell he was going to do. Didn't really care if you were there or not, but he would do it with the door half ajar. And here's the secret life hack for college. If you went in and asked him questions, you automatically received a bonus letter grade. Now, nobody would acknowledge this. It just seemed to have always happened. Welcome to Office Hours. I'm Brian Brushwood. I'm going to do the shit that I was going to do regardless. Only you guys are welcome to ask questions. As a matter of fact, one might say, next to the Humdinger protocol, your questions are the most important part of this entire thing. Oh, it did it? Oh, man. That's interesting. But it should say that we're joined by my extraordinary friend, my BFF, and where are you now, MikeTV?
I'm a nomad. I'm just roaming. I'm actually in Nampa, Idaho, and I'm here until February, and then I'm looking for places somewhere in the Pacific Northwest just to be closer to family. So I might situate myself here for like a year. I might move to Portland. I might move to Tacoma. Those are the 3 areas I'm looking at right now. So yeah,
Wait,
I'm still a nomad.
Northern or Southern Idaho?
It is right by it's a suburb of Boise, so
Okay.
it's sort of, I think it's like sort of central.
I guess the real question I
Idaho's
wanted-
a strangely shaped state, so
Well, that's what I was getting at. Is when I think of Idaho Boise area, I was not prepared for Idaho Coeur d'Alene. Like that area was extraordinary. I really enjoyed doing gigs there.
Yeah, no, it's really funny. Our stories, we've never played Coeur d'Alene as a touring band, but we've refueled in Coeur d'Alene, and for whatever reason, I guess we were just scruffy enough that we would just get all the locals looking at us like, what are you guys doing in town?
You,
We're like,
you got
we're
the
just
first
gassing
blood
up.
Rambo treatment, where it's just like, just keep on moving, Drifter.
Yeah.
Hey, if you don't mind, resituate your. I think our cameras are a little bit different. Can you give a little more headroom on yours? And then that way.
Sure.
Basically,
Sure. Let me
we'll just kind of
see.
make us kind of closer to the same.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of having a fellow seasoned veteran is I'm like, I can tell you, you understand, Mike, this is my one chance to get these shots set up is right now live while we're doing
I get
it.
that. Is that a little bit better?
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, that's super good.
Yeah.
I like your setup, man. So
Perfect. I mean, so it's a temporary thing. This is the office. So I'm staying with my brother and sister-in-law, and this is their office, and I've taken it over, and so I've turned it into my streaming and recording studio. Although I haven't done much streaming and recording over the past month and a half or so because Isabella had to return to Italy, and so I've been kind of sort of licking my wounds with that whole thing. Her grandmother is in flagging health, and so she's going to help out the family. And
you've been in service duty for the last couple of months, and you've been deployed, right? Like every so often.
Yes.
And I think, to be honest, I think this is worth taking a moment to revisit because a big part of office hours is time management. And one of the things that I think is important to acknowledge is like sometimes you get different budgets, different time slices. And for example, I've been lamenting on this stream that while I love going live every day and immersing myself in the raw feed, the trade-off is that's 2 miles less per day that I get to run because that time's got to come out of somewhere. And so likewise, sometimes you get dealt a bunch of commitments on the family side of things. And it's like, it's got to come out of the budget. So you've been deployed, but it sounds like you are stationed ready for your next gig.
Yeah. So the hope is, and one of the reasons why I might even consider staying in this area is because there's the Tree Fort Festival. So I've been working on this app. The app is, it's pretty much there. I'm just fine tuning some of the back end stuff, and then I'm gonna move all the servers over to production servers.
Well, let's do this for anybody who's a first timer and to catch you up. We're about 3 months into office hours, still figuring out the shape of it. But an important key part was on New Year's Eve. Somebody said, "So you're setting goals or what?" And I was like, "Oh, damn, we got to do that." So yesterday we did a goal setting exercise. We had Riley Blanton of Geeky Stoics come and join us.
Awesome.
And then so keeping that rolling, when I think of big ambitious plans that are not just vagaries, but actually, I'm going to go for it. It made me think of our conversation about your app, and I'll try to describe in my hatchet job way, and you can tell me how close I get to it. Sure. Basically a core thing that got broken with the AI wave, whether some people want to call it an apocalypse, other people want to call it, abundance or whatever. One thing is for sure, Spotify used to make sense because there were categories and something was or was not an album. But now, with no effort and no ability to discriminate, every version of every song, it's not just enough that every song ever is available, every recording of every song ever, but now there's infinite remixes or whatever. And as a result, I think of it as the blue sky problem or the gray goo problem. I don't like how loaded the word slop is, but it is difficult to discriminate. And if I heard you right about your app, it's like, what if the reverse of all of that? What if there's a small town of 150 people, and if you're there, you get one album. That's it. Do you want to put a song out? Great. Which one are you going to drop? Is that right? Like true artificially induced scarcity.
In fact, that's the idea. my intention was to create a conversation between the artist, like, because back in the day, you used to go to a record store and you'd go to your section and there'd be other people in your section. You'd be like, yeah, these are my people. Like you felt this connection to them and a connection to the music. And I remember as a kid, I would be looking for Sub Pop. I'd be looking for Merge. I'd be looking for Discord. And that there created a sense of like this bond between me and the makers of the music. And the people that vetted the music as well, because they were the labels, these indie labels, and that's completely gone. This sense of connection to an individual band, individual song. It's like, yeah, you have absolutely everything, and so the threshold, the bar is so low for people to like really. It becomes a very difficult way for people to just embrace. A particular album or a particular song, because and you're right. The thing is, in fact, that is one thing that I see Spotify doing in the near future is actually taking, say, Get Set Go, like taking our popular songs, recording them and then putting them out as hey, this is the best of Get Set Go, but done by other people that we just also happen to own. So like these kinds of things to me feel like they're not that far in the offing. And so I was like, okay, what do we do to like create a space where people show up and they know that what they're getting from the artist is intentional. Like the artist is like, hey, this is the single we want you to listen to today. This is the album we want you to listen to this month, and let's explain why. And so you don't have to, if you don't want to engage with sort of the artist notes, you don't have to. But I'm figuring that hardcore fans of a band would really love to be like, oh man, I love this band, and I'm talking to them every single day. They're putting out something every single day, and they're telling me why they want me to listen to this track, why they want me to listen to this album. And so, in fact, the Theron Dragon, I think the future is trusted curation. That's exactly what this is. But the people that are doing the curating are the actual musicians themselves. They're the actual bands. I mean, again, I'm figuring at some point in time you're going to have people that they're gonna handle all that. But the idea is there's just one single and one band. I mean, one single and one album at any time from any artist, and they can swap them out whenever they want. And each time they swap them out, they can add a little note, so they can be like, hey, this, and they can also upload demos. They can also upload, studio outtakes, because it's a space where people can be like, hey, we don't really like these songs. This is our very first, when we first went to the recording studio, they're not that great. We didn't play that well, but for those of you that might like this errata, we're going to put them up for 4 or 5 days. And the cool thing is, people, if you like this stuff, you can capture it, you can pin it, and then it lives in your personal music collection forever, even though the bands are rotating out new stuff. So it's a whole big thing that I have to go and now. First, I'm selling the bands, which is why I'm thinking I might stay in this area, because I'm going to go to Tree Fort. I'm going to go to South by Southwest. I'm going to go to International Pop Overthrow. I'm going to do a bunch of the smaller. I mean, South by Southwest is not small, but there are small shows
a little indie affair. Perhaps you've heard of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it used to be. It's so funny. That's what Tree Fort really feels like to me now.
It's like Fort, to be clear, Tree Fort is what?
It's a Boise. It's an indie festival, indie rock festival based here in Boise. And they have there's I think it's 3 or 4 days, and there's hundreds of bands, but it's all like I looked at that thing and I was like, I know 6 bands. It's a whole bunch of. I'm excited to go out and explore and find a bunch of new music and find new kind of up and coming bands that are excited about obviously it's obvious that the whole Spotify dynamic is not. No band is going to thrive as long as they've got a stranglehold over music.
Yeah, let's start there because here's what you're doing that I think is extremely important, and anybody who has a clever idea, if you want to make a dent in any medium, whether it's YouTube, whether it's publishing, whether it's in live stream, whether it's in print, whether it's in music, you must begin by establishing what is the domain. Define the world and find an edge of the map beyond which you write the words, here there be monsters. And then within that realm that backwards and forwards, in like the back of your hand, figure out how is that slice of the world broken. And the canonical example I like to lean on is, I earned these trophies in the world of magic, and I'd seen a lot of magicians. I had sat through a lot of performances, and I knew how that world was broken. These are all not technically savvy people who are very excited to do their purchased off the shelf routines where they steal somebody else's hackneyed tired lines. They're all wearing the same purple sequins. They're all playing the same 80s hits that have aged out. And I'm like, this world is broken. And because I knew how it was broken and off-putting, I was able to counter that. And so likewise, with when Scam School came along, I was able to look at the domain. If you search the word magic tricks or bar tricks on YouTube, you would get thousands and thousands of responses, but all of them would be a crummy webcam and a pair of hands, often with a voice that wouldn't even appear on a decent mic, sometimes just subtitles. There was never, so this world is broken. What we don't have is the tricks looking awesome with real people and. So likewise, we want to define the domain. The domain right now is you're a musician, get on Spotify. And as you know, if I'm hearing you correctly, that world is broken because that is like dropping a needle, not into a haystack, but into the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And so you can create as many beacons as you possibly want for that needle. But the thing is that like, there's also, there's everybody else is doing their damnedest to capture the attention of people. Like, so it's a crazy space. And so what we're doing is I just inverted that whole thing. So it's all friends of friends. So so each band when they first sign up are going to be able to establish their founding 25, and these are their most hardcore fans, and those 25 get sent out an email that invite them to check out the app, and then every single month those people get to invite 2 other people. And so that's the way we're going to grow. It's going to be a completely walled garden. And the idea is I want to. There used to be this sense of exclusivity. Like it used to be like back in the day, man, like there it's very funny. I was part of this like community of friends in the Palm Desert area. Went to Palm Desert High School, and one of my buddies was a super music snob, and I was wearing a Carp button. And which is a band I loved and I've seen multiple times, but they used to be so tiny. Like, I would go to the shows and there'd be like 15 people there. And so he's like, Carp, you know Carp? And I was like, yeah, I love Carp. And he's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to stop listening to him. And I'm like, what? Because he's like, oh man, if anybody in my school knows about this band, then they're already too big. So I want to recapture some of that like sense of like, yeah, these are my bands and I have a personal relationship with these people, and this is for hardcore fans, and this is for hardcore fans to connect with other hardcore fans. So there's a social component to this as well. You actually have a profile and you list the things that you love, and you can actually converse with other members, and you can create like little chat, like communities if you want to. So yeah,
well,
it's all built around hardcore fans.
And also, I know this is in development. How far along in development is it?
So the core app is pretty much all built out. I'm just each time there's new updates to some of the software stuff or some of the back end stuff. I have to go back and rebuild certain things. And I think that's just going to be a perpetual iterative process. But yeah, man, but it's like. It's pretty much there. It's I right now I'm fine tuning the invite section, so people that show up, that once you're a member, you get 2 invites that you can send out to anybody. And my hope is that like we ask people to curate who they bring in. I want it to be a community there's no toxicity. It's all love of music. It's all respecting artists regardless of their sounds. So yeah.
Well, so tell me a bit about. Is it going to be everyone who gets an invite gets 2 more? Because then you're set up for geometric progression, and suddenly the whole world is in.
So when they get their 2, they join up, and then they earn by actively using the app over the course of the next month, they earn their 2. Like so you can if you're not actively using the app, you can kind of drop off the grid, and you stop participating in the pins and in the invites and all that stuff. So it's designed to encourage people to be active participants, and you can even earn extra pins by like starting up conversations or writing a music review, or so you doing that kind of thing allows you to expand your collection, but it also proves to the system that you're an active user.
So an interesting way. So I'm a big fan of design nudges that cause the intended output without ever having to say that that's the intended output.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, like, for example, the example I remember reading about was there were people who were dropping dead because they were playing MMOs too long for 72 hours straight. And so what they wanted to do was punish people for doing that, but then nobody wanted to log in and play a game where they were being punished for playing it a lot. And so what they did is they gave a XP resting bonus, where one day when you had gone 12 whole hours without playing, it said, well rested, plus 50,000 XP. And then that same thing mathematically, our economics brain understands that mathematically that's the same thing, and yet subjectively it doesn't feel anything at all like the same thing. So I wonder if, rather than, whoa, my guy, looks like you haven't been participating, you're out, like that ostracization is a painful experience. That's the shame lever being pulled. But I wonder if, and this is, I'm going to finally make my suggestion to you, the Speakeasy here in Austin, Redheaded Stepchild, you have to ask to get on the list, and every month they change the code. So the code changes to get in every month, and nobody has an expectation of not of the code staying the same. Instead, like if I got a text at the beginning of the month that wasn't the code, but instead, hey man, we haven't seen you around. If you want the code, just apply. And then all of a sudden, without saying I've been kicked out for lack of participation, the results, I'm motivated for showing up and using codes.
Yeah, no, yeah, and that's actually an excellent point, and it's not something I've fully considered, but I am very I'm very aware of the fact that I want, again, because I like to build community, and I like to build community that is predicated on love and enthusiasm and celebrating each other and all of that kind of stuff. And so my plan is, I think what I'm going to be building out as this app progresses will be something that says, hey, we haven't seen you in when you do log back in, they say, hey, we haven't seen you in a little while. This is what you missed. These are the things these are the albums that showed up that are no longer available, that but you might have some friends that did capture them. If you like this band, and I'll see if I can't even draw connections. So you can be like, yeah, these 4 friends that I know you follow this band. These 4 friends of yours captured these albums. If you want, reach out to them and see if you can borrow the album from their collection. That's another thing you can do. You can loan out albums. So if I pinned a collection of demos from a band, and I was an early adopter of the app, and I'm the only person that has it, I can lend it out to, I can still lend it out to people and let them listen to it. So, and eventually I'll allow them to capture those as well. Depending on, there'll be incentives to let people be like, hey, I'm gonna give you this exclusive. It was only available for 6 hours on a Sunday, but I happen to pin it. I'll lend it. I'm gonna give it to you. I want to be able to give people the ability to do that.
So does this mean, number one, selfishly, does this mean that we'll see you out for South by Southwest in March?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's the most important
And so my intention is to hit all of the festivals. I'm not going to do, I don't know. I'm really thinking I want to focus on smaller bands with active and really engaged people that are good at crowd interaction. People that get the crowd singing along and are like, and the folks are really into So I just, because what I want to do is I want to launch with about 30 brand new band, new to me.
Let's begin the metagame, because if there's a unifying philosophy that's coming through in office hours, it's about noting the process, because I and you and all of our friends, all of Diamond Club, we are all blessed to be highly speculative independent creators who in general win more than we lose. And our strength, our anti-fragile power comes from, number one, our stick-to-itiveness, where we keep on getting up and getting back to it, figuring out what this new iteration of the Doctor is and so on. But along those ways, what I'm fascinated on is, for the last 5 years, I've been incredibly dialed in on what are the unifying themes that make for people who are made of it, right? And so since we're at the beginning of the year and we're talking about goals, we started a couple days ago beginning with wishes and then looking at those wishes and saying, okay, how many of these are just four faces of the same wish, and what's the real thing? But now what I'd love to know is, how do you handle your timeline for projects like these? Because I don't think that you're that guy at the end of the bar waving his hands talking about what would be cool, because I know you. I know that all of this is going to happen and go to execution, but I also know that there are steps along the way that MikeTV is made of sterner stuff than your average musician. And I'd love to know, to the extent that you can point to specifically actions. I'm a much bigger fan of actions than words, because I find oftentimes the two are unmoored from each other.
Sure. No, that's, in fact, and that is so. So first I wanted to see if the app could even be built, and if I could build it out in a way that where I was able, again, because I spent maybe a year and a half contemplating this app and contemplating I saw that Spotify was dominating, and that every single kind of like Google, somebody that's like, oh, who's this band, and they learn the name of the band, and they go find the song on Spotify. And so so I realized, I'm like, oh, okay, Spotify is becoming ubiquitous. Spotify is damaging the ability for, particularly indie artists. Like, it's so crazy. Indie artists are the ones who are the shoulders upon which so much is built, because we don't have a collective bargaining power. We don't have advocates that are actively, Taylor Swift took her music off of Spotify, and that was it was a negotiating tactic, and now she's back on. We can't do that. So I was like, okay, how do I? So I spent a lot of time kind of contemplating what is it that an artist needs. What is it? Because I want to make sure that people take the music seriously, because music is it's the most emotive, powerful, mind-boggling. It's like you hear a song that vibes with you, and you're immediately like, yes, this is amazing. It just has a immediately visceral thing, impact. And I want to find some way to call attention to that and be like, yeah, it's not something where you put up 50 million songs and be like, here you go, take a pick. I want to be like, I want to give the artist an opportunity to be like, hey, this is what we want you to listen to, and this is why we want you to listen to it. So that was the thing. So first I built it. I was like, okay, now this is working. Let me get some testers and just have them try it out, and let me see how they engage with it. And they engage with it exactly like they would with Spotify. So there, even though there was all of those different elements, people just thought of it as a curated Spotify. And so I was like, okay, so I need to find a way to sell them on all of the other virtues of the app. And there is some building out your profile can be a really fun thing, because you can basically go to other people's profiles and find the things that they love. You can be like, oh, I love that movie. And you just double click it and it gets added to you're incentivized to explore other people's profiles and find maybe obscure movies that you used to love, or obscure comic books that you haven't thought about in a million years, but you're like, I love that comic. Oh my gosh, I'm going to add that. So there's a lot of little things like that I try to build into it, but that is already built into it. But the one thing, but I realized the best way to do this is to go to the source. So if I go to the bands, and if I go to bands with decent fan bases, if I go to bands with active fan bases, I sell those bands on. This is why the app works the way it does, and it's transparent for them. They're like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Because we're not saying don't have your stuff on Spotify. We're not saying don't have your stuff, on Tidal and have your stuff on YouTube. what we are saying is like, here you can have an active conversation with your most hardcore fans. Here you can say, hey guys, this is where you can dump all of the, every single artist I know has demos and rough recordings, and there are things you can't put on Spotify, but you can definitely put them on Square Tire. You can definitely be like, hey, this is I wrote these, I was over the weekend, I was recording songs in my little, up in a cabin, I recorded them. They're terrible recordings, but here you go. Here's what came out of our us hanging out. It's a perfect venue for that, and the thing is that if people like them, they can pin them, and if they don't, that's okay. You can swap out new stuff. So it becomes I want it to become the go-to place for vetting artists. Like these are my new songs. This is a song I wrote yesterday. This is this was the first recording demo. This is the first demo we ever recorded. It's terrible, let me show you how far we've come. This was from 15 years ago. This was my high school band. That kind of stuff. I think that all of it has value, and I think I want to find a way to be able to let people showcase it. Oh, okay.
I think the white balance was trying to make a change or something. So
the next step for me is I'm gonna go recruit bands. So I'm gonna start hitting these festivals. I'm gonna try to recruit 30 bands that hopefully are tastemaker bands. Like I'm hoping that each band has access to that each band knows each band definitely knows other bands, but I want to find those bands that seem like they're pretty well dialed into other communities. So that's why I'm gonna focus on. I'm gonna do the Tree Fort here in Boise. I'm gonna do South by Southwest in Austin, but I'm gonna look for and talk to a lot of my friends that are local musicians in Austin and be like, hey guys, what are bands that you love? And oh, by the way, check out this app. I'm gonna so that's then built into that as I onboard the bands is if they go, yes, this is a great idea. As I onboard the bands, they're going to be onboarding 25 of their most hardcore fans. So there's going to be a big discovery process. So my hope is by May-ish at the latest. I'm hoping April or May. We're gonna go out. I'm putting together a Square Tire tour. So over these months, I'm going to be recruiting bands. Then there's going to be an actual Square Tire tour where I'm going to be bringing a bunch of musicians that are already on the Square Tire app, and we're also on the Square Tire label. And we're going to go and we're going to do, because one of the things I plan on doing with this ultimately is building out a maybe quarterly, maybe bi-monthly, but this a physical meet space gathering where the musicians show up, the musicians in the band show up, where the authors show up, where the community actually gets together in person, just to make sure that there is a sense of. And what we're gonna do is we'll get together in like small towns, it's where we can just take it over, and we'll reach out to a couple of venues, and so. Wait, so what was it? A place for those? I can't. Here.
Wago's saying that this sounds like a great place for people who want to find artists before they get big and support them at the house show level. And so,
yes.
and this is where I think you and I think you're a better artist than I, Mike. I think I'm more of a huckster tactician, because the way I think of it is like, fans, your world is broken. By the time you find out about the band, they've already exploded. You are perpetually the sucker. Spotify is a fan sucker machine. Spotify, worship your corporate overlords, enjoy whatever bands they tell you to. 1982 called, and they're back in Spotify form. So the fan experience is broken. So that's one aspect of the journey. And then the band experience, the indie band experience is broken because Spotify algorithmically only wants one thing from you. Another all-star, play your one hit, play the one thing.
That's exactly right. They're actively doing.
And it's not just Spotify. Of course, there's incentives aligned on YouTube or whatever. The same thing that makes for good discovery and amplification, you risk audience capture. And so that's how That's how Spotify is broken for the artist. So now I guess what it seems like to me, and I'd love to know if this is what organically you're doing, is at this point you have two different audiences, two different raw feeds. Oh,
Hey, love you, Mike. Happy New Year.
Hey, brother. Hey, happy New Year. Good to see you,
all
man.
right, take care. we we keep a spare heating around at all times.
Yeah. Good, yeah.
But what you have is you have two broken worlds that Spotify's never going to be able to be both an amphitheater and a coffee house. And so as a result, once you know what your project is not, that is clarifying. And then all of a sudden you could tell past this barrier, get fucked. Beyond this, we are not that. We will never be that.
And that's...
Oh, sorry. Darren Dragon says maybe a good comp would be Goodreads for music, which I could see something like that. Something where, I'm sorry, we're thoughtful here. If you're not thoughtful, hit the bricks, pal. We don't want you.
Yeah, and that's 100%. That very much, and there has definitely been that similarity has been brought up, and it is sort of. I mean, but again, for me, I really want to focus the conversation with the actual artists, right? The thing is that like this is a space where the artists get to say like, hey man, we put a lot of work into this record, and this is like, and they get to say that right on the album. This song took us like we had to like, and they can just be like, here's our newest record, whatever, and they can do that. But if they want to do a longer treatise, if they want to be able to say, hey, this is what went into the recording of the record. This is the guy that we brought in here. We had a wonderful adventure doing this. These are songs that we vetted live, and this song that we didn't know was going to be a breakout hit ended up being a breakout hit because we played it like they get to tell all of those stories so that when you actually do encounter the album, you're able to hear it in their words. And again, what I'm hoping they do is I'm hoping that the other musicians in the band, so like there's usually the one person that's the public facing rep of the band, and that person usually does, at least in my experience, usually does all the social media and all the everything, you know. So but I'm also hoping that it'll incentivize the other musicians, because they all have access to their same page, to pop in and add little notes and add little comments and add like, so that you get a sense of like, yeah, these are like, most bands really like each other, you know, until they get to the point where they hate each other, you know, until they blow up. But you know, and so I think that having that, creating a space where you can interact with the like, and again, and you can actually reach out to them directly. You can reach out to the musicians directly in the app. Whether they respond or not, that it'll be up to them. But you know, but you can and you can also, you know. So I'm hoping that people see it as a way to actually engage and interact with their most hardcore fans, and that this is a place that's going to enculturate and propel the idea of hardcore fandom, the idea of being like, oh yeah, man, like I have literally everything they've ever recorded, you know, like if I could get it, I found it, you know, like that's, you know, people that curate the entirety of an artist's, you know, collection, you know, so including all the.
Let's talk about so tell me about the experience of those early betas, and also if there's anything you don't want to say, because I don't want to pin you down on any specifics, especially when anything is in development. One of the most important things is figuring out all the things that it can't do on purpose. And so, and then you don't want to be pinned down and then later have to walk something back. So instead, let's focus on the early discovery phase. What was that like for you?
So it was really interesting because I didn't say I built in a lot of features. I built in the profile, like one of the things that I really missed on the fan side of things, and one of the things I really loved about MySpace was that you were able to customize your profile. You had your own, so you know, like you're able to say like, hey, this is me, you know, and this is my music, this is my favorite music, and this is my favorite bands, and this is like, you know, and this is a little treatise on who I am and what I'm all about, like, and you got to be able to, so to really represent yourself to the rest of the MySpace community. So I tried to build something like that into this. But I built it around the things that we love, because there's nothing that creates a more genuine and honest and earnest connection than being like, dude, like watching somebody walk in with a band shirt of a band that you love, and you're like, dude, I love that band. I've seen like immediately, you're like, the moment you have a shared love, you're immediately bonding on that shared love, you know. And so in fact, it's really funny. I was wearing a Terry Pratchett. I was wearing an Ankh Morpork shirt, and I was at the supermarket. I was in HEB, and somebody goes, "Dude, he's like, I love your shirt," and I was like, "Oh, thanks, man." But I was distracted, and I didn't say anything, and I've regretted that ever since. I'm like somebody actually just recognized this really obscure Terry Pratchett reference, and I didn't chat him up. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, so I want to be able to facilitate that kind of thing, and so that's what this. You know, I just want it to be built around the things that we love, and music being the predominant ingress, but ultimately it is about taking art and each other seriously, you know.
So that the first beta that you did when you built out the app, was it a web app? Was it a iOS?
It was a progressive web app. Yeah, it was a progressive web app, and it still is. So basically you can install it on your phone, but it's ultimately just the website. It functions like an app, you know. And it'll probably be a PWA for the time being, you know, just because it works and it functions, and like if it's not broke, you know, like I will tinker with things as they like. My hope is I can prove the proof of concept works fine. And then I can go and look at, okay, this is working. People are engaging with it. People are really digging it. We've got some great bands. Let's go find some funding, you know, and build it into something real, you know. So, ATL John Boy,
I think, has an interesting take. This could be an end run around the how do I make sure the fans get the tickets issue once a band gets big. Speaking of which, on that issue, tell me if I'm reading this correctly, Mike. When you right now, there's a strange kabuki dance where a band does not want to be caught selling a seat what it's actually worth. And so because that would look like they're trying to extract maximum value from the audience, which breaks the hybrid relationship. You know, money is of course involved, but the relationship between an artist and the consumer of art is obviously something more beyond transactional. It's not relational. Like when you buy a band T-shirt, you're not doing it because you're cold. You're doing it because you want to publicly represent the band, right? And so that's and so along those lines, right now what we have is a public-facing message of we're only going to sell tickets for $99, the end, and then a third-party company has a cozy relationship where they buy them and then resell them in a gray market that the artists can all constantly pretend to be shocked that there's black market reselling of their tickets. Is number one, do I have that right? And number two, is this app perhaps another vector to calibrate so that the most intense, passionate fans, in other words, the ones who are in the clubhouse, and the only way you stay in the clubhouse is by continuing to show up over time.
Yeah. That's exactly. In fact, that's exactly right. And in fact, so one of the things that, in fact, I saw on one of the comments, somebody was asking about like how does the monetization of this work? And so the thing is, so on both ends, it's a free app. But you can, inside the app, you can decide to support one band. You can decide, and if you decide to support a band, you can give them just a straight donation. You can subscribe to them. You can, and all the stuff is already built, which is really cool. Or what you can do is you can build a network of bands and be like, I'm going to pay $20 a month for these 10 bands, you know, and it just gets divided between those 10 bands. There's also there's also a support all the bands button, and so you click that and you can pay, and so you pay money, and that money and the app. So right now the problem. I try to minimize the amount of money that the app gets. I'm trying to maximize the money that goes to the bands. I'm trying to, and so right now, because there's like per transaction fees and stuff like that. So if you spend $20 and you're supporting 50 bands, then it ends up becoming the people that benefit the most are like are the actual processing companies. I'm like okay, so I'm still working out the fine details of that, but I do think I've got it set up in a way where the vast majority goes directly to the bands, and I think that will be a huge incentive. I think that when I'm able to say, hey guys, if a band spends $15 on your record, you get $14.75 of that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when you come out for South by Southwest, did I connect you with the guys over at Curios? Have we talked about this at all?
I don't think so.
Okay, this is interesting. So in this case, they're coming at it from a different perspective. Right now, they're just a marketplace. And I'm probably misrepresenting your brand. If somebody there hears me say this, I apologize. Come give me another demo. But basically, their version of recognizing how the world was broken is the ridiculous percentages that Audible captures of everyone on audiobooks, right? I think it's like 50% or whatever. So they do a tiny slice, and you own all of your stuff. So basically, if you have a fandom, their enemies are Patreon. They're like Patreon, 15%. You're criminals. That's highway robbery.
Yeah.
How about 1%? Audible,
awesome.
you're criminals.
Smart.
You're let the artist own all their stuff. Now, they're like you. They're in development, but they have also acquired a bunch of creators with passionate fandoms who the fans are like, all things being equal, I'd rather not give 10% to any other entity. But at any rate, I think there's a strong.
No, that's great. Yeah, I mean
congruence.
it's very funny. I mean, I do, because this is sort of a post-capitalist perspective, right? Like what you're doing, you're saying like, hey, we're going to facilitate the lifting up of all artists and make it easy for them to maintain and establish a good, strong, healthy relationship with their fans, and then that will lift everybody up. The thing is that like there'll be more people engaging and more people treating the art seriously, and therefore it creates a more robust marketplace for new people to show up.
Real quick, Nicholas George 4156 asks, like YouTube memberships, a key distinction is YouTube memberships have one primary interest. Secondary interest is, sure, make the fans happy, make the artist happy, but first and foremost, YouTube is the star of that story, right? Any platform.
Yeah.
Whereas that's a big part, and I assume of your project is that Curios is like the artist owns the contact list. The artist is directly in touch with the fans, and that I think is a key distinction, because I think that many people don't realize. I mean, the worst is the ones I pity the most are TikTok stars, where there's only one star of TikTok, and it's TikTok, and so likewise,
TikTok, yeah. It is funny, and that's in fact just in that regard, because you have these people and they're spending their precious life hours contemplating what I can do to come up with a little video to create more, to capture people's attention, to again keep people on TikTok, using TikTok for like it's like so for me that's I just again like I'm trying to like slow the conversation. I'm not like I don't want, even if you're a band with 20 albums, the thing is that like if you, I mean, that's actually what gets
hold on. You said something really important. Did I hear you right? Did you say you wanted to slow the conversation?
Yes. Yeah. I want to, because. Oh yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Because that's the thing. Is because there's so much being thrown at us at all times. Because right now we're in an attention economy, right? And so because we're an attention economy, and it really depends on, like everybody's clamoring for look at me, and I want to be like, no, hey, there should be a space where you can just show up with like-minded people, and and all of you just dig a record, dig a single, dig one track, and then be like, this is a fucking amazing track, or I don't know about that, like, but and just have a good, earnest, and honest connection with other people that love the same thing that you do, and and make it about that, and not make it about not, I mean, it's so crazy. I mean, I look at you when you go to anywhere now and you look around, there's just fucking 100 people just scrolling, and I'm like, and I'm like, yeah, let's see if we can find a different, not, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that shouldn't be the only thing, and so that's what we're trying to, that's what I'm, so again, I don't know if what I've built is that just yet, but the thing is, I'm just going to keep iterating. I'm going to get as many people involved as I possibly can to get their perspectives on what I'm trying to do, and then we're just going to iterate, until we find the thing that does feel the best, and is working the best for the most people. So
what are some of the early themes that you're noticing in the feedback, either from the artist side or the fan side?
So again, one thing that I didn't have an onboard. So there's a lot of interesting concepts built into this app, and I didn't, and all of the people, all of my early testers, all of my like alpha level testers, like they didn't get any of that onboarding. So I would talk about some of the stuff in the stream. I talk about like, this is what I'm trying to build out, but I just didn't have a way where I could explain to people, this is what makes this thing different. So people hopped in and treated it just like Spotify, only with a way more reduced catalog. And of course, it was all a very specific type of indie rock, because most of the bands are my friends from LA, like going back 20 years. But my intention, so I built a new onboarding process. So as you enter the app, as you accept the invite from your friend, it walks you through, hey, this is what this app is, and this is how it works, and these are some of the features, and this is like, and it encourages you, like there's something called the things I love on your profile, and before you can progress, you actually send over to my personal profile, but that'll change at some point in time. But you're sent over to my personal profile, and you're like, look, like take a look, and I have like maybe 1,000 different things. Like, so I've got scores of books, and I've got scores of albums, and scores of bands, and scores of like of role playing games, and like I literally have I have a million different categories, and so you can just go through and so you're encouraged to just go through and be like, yeah, I like the Goonies, yeah, I like the Godfather, and just double click it and add your thing, so you see how easy it is, and it is pretty sticky, because it was really fun to actually James B, who I think is in the audience. He was one of my early testers, and he would go through and throw in a bunch of like old TV shows that I used to love from the 80s. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot about that. So it was just fun to like, because you get a little alert when somebody updates their profile, because there's a community section, you can see all the people that have updated stuff. And so you can double click on them and just, and explore what they've added. So yeah, like, I mean, it's still a little bit kludged together, but I think it's a pretty cool experience. And it took me a while to come up with the onboarding process that allowed me to walk people through, like, hey, this is why this app exists, and this is what we're trying to do. This is what we're trying to fix, yeah. And this is how we want you to be a part of it, like that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a short, it's like a 10-minute onboarding process, but yeah.
Well, so are you soliciting beta testers at this point, or are we holding
not yet?
off?
No,
okay.
yeah.
I guess my question is, what is the key phrase we need to keep an eye out for, or absent that, is there an email list? I mean, besides signup.scamstuff.com, don't forget that the robots are trying to divide us with their algorithmic feeds, and the only thing left close to a fair shake is email. Make sure to sign up at signup.scamstuff.com. But is there a place to sign up to get alerts?
Not yet, because that's the and so of course, okay, so if anybody in this audience, any Diamond Club person can just be like, hey Mike, can I get an invite? And of course I'm gonna send you an invite. Like, don't even worry about that. You guys are covered, so you do not need to sweat it. But really truthfully, the way it's going to grow is it's going to be like for each band gets their core, it's called the founding 25. And so they get to plug in 25 emails from their email list of their biggest and most hardcore fans, and those get pushed out to them, and they get like an invite saying like, hey, this band has invited you to be one of their founding 25. You're one of the most precious resources to that band ever, and we want you to join us in this new app. They send out that founding 25, and then those people get on board, and they do the onboarding process, and they see what makes the app different from everything else. And then hopefully they start engaging, and hopefully they start listening. Like there's already I think there's like 60 bands, 70 bands. Like there's already a lot of music. There's definitely, I wanted to make sure when I first even gave it to my original testers that I had hours and hours and hours of music. So I think when I launched, I had 24 full hours of listening music, and now it's even beyond that. So and again, and this has been all of my work. So once the bands themselves are uploading their own stuff and swapping it out, and once they kind of understand how that works, I think it's going to be pretty awesome, because again, like there's not a place for like to put your demos. There's not a place like maybe you've got an alternate version that where you did it like oh, this one that we did, it was a little bit too punk rock, and it was 20 BPM too fast, but a lot of people really like this version. You're not going to put it on Spotify, but but you can put it on Square Tire.
This third space is exactly what. Let me unpack this as I think it through. There's a type of content that is objectively neutral, but to a fan is pure gold, but to a prospective fan is actively negative noise. For example, think about like a Beatles bootlegs where they're half trying out riffs or whatever. Like to a certain level of Beatles fan, that is a miracle and the best thing on the planet. And yet that exact same content, somebody might listen to 4 songs and there's only one thing they now know. Apparently the Beatles suck. And what we need are spaces that disambiguate between the two. And because Spotify is trying to be all things to all people, it has similar to the YouTube algorithm, although I suspect algorithmically it's getting smarter at how it serves stuff up, but that's for a different time. But this is a insider only space. To be honest, that's what I'm doing. With the Ballyhoo puzzle box. The Ballyhoo puzzle box, inside you get a USB that gets you into the Roustabout Society, where there's all kinds of unreal hundreds of hours of stuff. I'm getting ready to post the hour-long video diary of the full 48-hour experience of me going out to be on The Tonight Show. All of the behind the scenes of November 2001 and all that. Now, to the vast majority of the world, it's an old man's home movies. But to somebody who's familiar with the story, this is extraordinary gold. And it's behind this paywall in a very undiscoverable corner of the internet.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's really funny. I look at the way my own digestion of content is like for me, when I keep rereading the same books, I keep rewatching the same movies, because for me, it's like coming home. It's like hanging out with my friends, And the thing is like, and if I got more of that, if I knew that the friends that I loved had more stuff for me to live with those characters a little bit longer, if there were other books, like I would sign up in a heartbeat, And so the thing is like, and so I do think that that's an important thing, is just to be like, to have a space where, and again, and the artist gets to curate it. So the artist gets to, so you can put something out, and that's one of the cool things. Oh yeah, so all the metadata is saved when you pin an album. So the very first time someone puts up like, hey, these are our demos from when we very first started. It's like we recorded this with a boom box in our garage, and they're terrible recordings, and so they put them up, and they don't really do that well, but two or three people pin them because they're like, oh, these are amazing. The thing is that like, as people become aware that this is a place where you can find that kind of like really deep cut stuff, they're gonna be people with bragging rights. They're like, yeah, dude, I pinned this, the original, the metadata right here. I got this a year ago when they put it up for like 3 hours. Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah. So
all right.
Yeah.
Well,
so it's just
man, we're up against our hour. I got to set these people free,
and
then we got to start the day. Where's the one place you'd like everyone to go visit?
So I do think that just pay attention to squaretire.app. Go. You can explore it right now. You can't really you can click through, but you can definitely see the shape of it. You can definitely see the bands. Check that out. and basically pay attention. I'm twitch.tv /MikeTV live. I am going to be streaming. I took the past couple months off just as a mental health thing, but I'm getting back. But the app is getting up and running. I'm going to be streaming again. I'm writing a bunch of new material over the next couple months. So you're going to start getting a whole bunch of new singles. So yeah, man. So Mike TV live at Twitch and check out the Square Tire app.
Hells yeah. Right on. All right, guys.
Yeah,
well,
right
here, I'm going to shut
thank
down
you.
the whole stream. Thank you very much, Mike TV. We'll see you again soon because we're going to check in on everybody's goals for 2026.
Awesome.
Bye, guys.
Adios.